Hey guys, so welcome to the Black Republican Theory. I want to do a very quick video concerning the Jackson water crisis. Right now, Jackson, Mississippi is without water in almost all of the city. And it's most certainly without clean water because, quite frankly, there's lead in the water and the pipes are corroded, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this has happened from an ongoing crisis um, in Jackson, where essentially, there has been lack of investment from the state government continuously from the state government, where they have taken funds away from infrastructure. They've taken the dollars that were supposed to come from the American Rescue Plan, and they did not actually invest in or the Infrastructure Act, and they did not invest into the city of Jackson itself or its rather its water system. And instead, they diverted those funds to other places. Now, what has happened is that you have essentially a crippling water crisis where many people in the city are left without water as a result of a very heavy rainstorm that came through, caused flooding. The water was unable to drain off. You have people stuck in their homes and people without water. Now, Jackson has a population that's 80% Black. 25% of its residents live in poverty, and majority of its residents, almost half, is actually well, not half, but a good amount of its 150,000 residents are what would be considered low income. Average income there is about $30,000. So I want you to think about this: that you have a tax base, that you don't have a strong tax base, and the money has been continuously diverted off to other places. There's nothing that is really going to the city and no help that's been given to the city itself, yet they have money for other areas and other places. And so that brings my attention to a map such as this. You can see that this is on one side Hinds County, on the other side Rankin County, where the populations, you can see where, hold on, let's see if it shows here. On one side, you can see the race of the areas by the census tract. On the other side, you can see its flood risk, okay? Now, we're focusing on Jackson, which is over on this side. Well, it really goes like that, but Jackson goes kind of up like that. But anyways, you can see the flood risk to the different areas. Let's click on this: none flood risk, none, occasional. It gets worse as you go down and further down the river, etc. Frequent areas, let's see those frequent areas. What population tends to live there? Ain't that something? Ain't that something? That the areas where, the frequent flooding tends to happen, majority Black. But let's also look over here. Frequent flooding, occasional flooding. Oh, wow. In law school, folks, I studied real estate law, and I typically, most of my research focused on spatial equity in the built environment. Things such as environmental racism, that does interest me. I don't think that it's by accident that people live where they live, particularly in result of zoning and the different access to housing issues. The people where living where they live, that's not racist itself. People can choose to live where they want. We're a free country, but it's the government policies that have decided to hold people back by redlining, et cetera, et cetera. And that's all government programs. When money was actually given to the state to help those on welfare, instead it went to people like Brett Favre, the football player Brett Favre. the one who tried to pull off, plan after the age of 40 and all this other stuff. Yeah, that same Brett Favre. Um, Lord, I'm just so pissed off by this. The money went to him for paid speeches, close to $1 million of paid speeches that he, oh, it was over $1 million, 1.1 million for motivational speeches that he never, ever, ever actually did. Yeah, that same Brett Favre. It was to a slush fund for him and to those well connected to the administrator of this Mississippi, temporary assistance for needy families. It's Lord have mercy. And this was all while the governor of Mississippi and the former governor of Mississippi claimed to know nothing about it. They claimed to know nothing about it. So, that was then, and these are the issues that are happening now. My question is, what is the government's response to it? And so I decided to go look up the congressman for this area, Benny Thompson. Benny Thompson, key topics: American Rescue Plan, child tax credit, federal deposit insurance, Federal Trade Commission reporting fraud. Not a damn thing on here is actually talking about Jackson, Mississippi. Let's go down. HUD from August, awarded to National Park Service, August. Department of Justice funds, August. Oh, he has some pictures here of him and his ass actually in Jackson putting water into cars. But where are the tangibles? Where are the tangibles? Where is the legislation to actually help those who are in trouble right now? No, there's none of that. There's none of that. Instead, it's just tweets of him, quote unquote, doing the work. Oh, you don't believe me, huh? You don't believe me? Well, let's go to congress.gov. Congress.gov is the government's website to track the legislation. So I went to, look up for, the water. I typed in, what did I type in? Jackson, Mississippi, water. I searched through all of these, every single title, everything. I even narrowed it down by Congressman Thompson. And it was finally then that I was able to get to a statement about, drinking water and wastewater infrastructure. And that was not even from Congressman Thompson. However, when you go over to GovTrack, you could do the same, narrowing it down. And from the 2021 to 2023 Congress, he did propose some legislation called Andy's bill. And so what is Andy's bill? Andy's bill essentially says, hey, we're going to give resources to the EPA administrator, the Department of Interior, and the other agencies to provide grants, assistance, studies, etc., to help those relying on the Mississippi River. That's funny. That is funny. No other legislation regarding this issue from Congressman Thompson, and nothing recent. And these two bills that he did propose are only 3% prognosis of actually passing. Only 3%. So let's check the Federal Register. The only thing that was on the Federal Register was actually from April 15th of this year, which just says, hey, FEMA determines that this area of Jackson, Mississippi, let's see if I narrowed it down. I'm sure I did. City of Jackson, City of Peril, City of Richland, those in Rankin County and Washington County, Washington County are at high risk of flooding. That's all that says. So now let's go over to the EPA. Go to the EPA and there's nothing regarding Let's see if I am misspeaking. Nope, this is from 2021 at best, in 2020. Again, the EPA saying that there's a drinking water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi, but no funds, no tangibles are being thrown the way of the state from the federal government, and especially none from Congressman Thompson, okay, to help those in Jackson, Mississippi. But you know what Congressman Thompson does have time for? He does have time to actually sit on the January 6th committee, okay? The January 6th committee is investigating, the different events that happened, the raiding of Capitol, et cetera, et cetera. But the January 6th committee is not investigating why the hell federal funds went to a goddamn football player who didn't even give the speeches and went to his daughter's pockets and was used as a slush fund to the tune of $70 million. And this is on Fox News and NPR, so both independent and right-leaning and left-leaning news sources. Okay, so I got it from all over the spectrum. Why the hell money from the federal tax dollars are going to enrich a former football player who already has the money and not going to help those individuals who are actually facing the crisis right now? So I also want to look at this right here. This is a news release from FEMA. New campaign by FEMA and the Ad Council encourages Black community to create a lasting legacy by preparing for disasters. Oh, wow. Talk about the irony and the slap in the face. Talk about a topic while it's hot. Basically, all this is saying is, hey, crap happens. There's a lot of natural disasters out there. Make sure you have a preparedness plan in case, you don't want to be up creek without a paddle. That's what this is saying. And finally, we get to President Biden's response when he's not giving these, Darth Brandon speeches in front of a red background and misusing government resources. He's actually putting out emergency declarations for, Mississippi, where he's essentially saying, we're mobilizing FEMA to give, all disaster relief efforts to actually help people that are affected. The problem is that it's been damn near a week, if not over a week, that these individuals have been living in this living hell that is actually happening. And in fact, Jackson has been under a boiled water crisis for the past, a boiled water advisory for the past 2 months. And there are some people who do not use the water, period, do not drink the water, period, because it has been years that Jackson and all 150,000 people there have been dealing with these type of emergencies coming out of the 2 water plants that service the city. And so right now you have Hinds County, which is indicative of the problems that are happening around America right now, even in Washington, D.C. In Washington, D.C., they frequently have boil water emergencies coming from the fact that the Blue Plains water treatment facility, is not actually up to par in doing its job. And the problem here lies both on the Democrats and Republicans, because if we just do a search for Jackson and water, okay, you can see that the only legislation that was proposed by Republicans on this issue or on water issues was to get the EPA out of their business so that they could do what they wanted to do. Nothing was done to actually help individuals currently experiencing this water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi. Now, next topic that I do want to cover is the Bank of America offering zero down payment mortgages to quote unquote certain Black and Hispanic communities. Quote from CNN, quote, Bank of America is offering zero down payment mortgages with no closing costs for first-time home buyers in certain Black and Hispanic neighborhoods and a new program designed to chip away at inequality in the housing market. Wow, guys, what's going to happen is you have certain neighborhoods based on geography that will be that qualify for this community affordable loan solution program. Certain communities in Charlotte, Dallas, Detroit, Los Angeles, and Miami. This is a precursor to if we look at history, we look at what happened in the 2008 crisis, where you had the subprime mortgages and you had the adjustable rate mortgages, right? They were, pretty much packaging up these loan products for pennies on the dollars and doing them any type of way to just get them out the door. What Bank of America is doing right now is the same exact thing. And they were one of the major culprits, or they at least gobbled up some of the major culprits to the last housing crisis. And so what they're doing now is offering zero down, zero interest, and all these other things to people who are going to end up largely defaulting on these mortgages when you're buying into a mortgage market or a home market where prices are 300,000, 400,000. And Detroit is pretty affordable, but Los Angeles home price is about 550,000 in some areas, and Miami about the same amount. And you're talking about people being able to afford that when the average income for a Black person around this country is about $45,000. There's no way that that person is going to be able to afford the 20% down and the other built-in costs that will play into the interest. And what they're going to end up doing is having a good marketing ploy in the name of equity. So don't fall for the funk and go fall into this trap and end up getting your house taken, foreclosed on, if you can't afford it. But if you can, go ahead and do it. Don't say you weren't born. Returning back to Jackson for a second, and particularly this map, it shows the tale that people are saying about the factors of environmental racism. And what it really is just an unequitable government not playing by the rules that it is forcing everyone else to play by. And really a media too, that is forcing everyone to be at each other's throats versus working together. Because quite frankly, Benny Thompson didn't say anything about this, but neither did many of the other congressmen who represent that area, who represent the state. And so with that, guys, this has been the Black Republican Theory. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.